The Treaty of Punakha 1910. In the same year 1907, the King Ugawatu ascended the throne while the British proposed a new treaty to replace the old Treaty of Sinchala. It was, however, finalized only towards the end of 1909. The signing of final draft took place on January 8, 1910 in Punakha between His Majesty and the new British political officer in Sikkim, Sir Charles Bell. The annual British subsidy was raised from 50,000 rupees to 100,000 rupees. Bhutan agreed to be guided by British advice in external affairs, but they were not to interfere in Bhutan's internal affairs. There was no provision for stationing a resident British agent in Bhutan. The treaty further improved relations between Bhutan and British India. British political officers based in Sikkim visited Bhutan time to time and were very supportive. In December 1911, Druk Gyalpo made a visit to India on the invitation of the British government on the occasion of Coronation Durbar, where he also led with the King George V of England. Internal reforms. Influenced by ideas of modern development, Druk Gyalpo Ugawatu introduced modern education, which he believed to be the first step towards development. The only form of education in Bhutan was monastic learning, which focused solely on religious studies. He began sending Buddhist children to schools in Kalimpong in India and within the country. He built first modern school at Ha. By 1914, 46 Buddhist students had been enrolled. Kongzim Ugendoji was given the additional responsibility of supervising the education and welfare of Buddhist students in Kalimpong. In 1915, second school was opened in Pumthang for Crown Prince Jigmewachu and some of his attendants. The Druk Gyalpo started royal patronage to Buddhist monks and scholars to study further in Tibet and invited teachers and learned scholars to teach Bhutan. The process produced some of the greatest Buddhist scholars who contributed immensely to the improvement of monastic education in the country. The first step towards the development were improving internal communications and reduction of land taxes and ruler obligation. The Druk Gyalpo also made conscious effort to encourage trade and commerce with India. The last years of Great Monarch. In 1917, Ugen Doji died and his son Sonam Topke Doji, who already held the office of Hat Trungpa, succeeded him to the post of Kongzim. The following year, Parapenlop also died and was succeeded by Sring Panjur, the grandson of Jakar Dzongpen Chimidoji. A few years later, in 1922, the Queen Ajit Hamo also passed away. Beside the Crown Prince Jigmewachu, the royal couple had 3 children. The king also had 2 daughters by his consort. Druk Gyalpo Ugawatu spent the last years of his life in Pumthang, mostly in retreat, devoting himself to meditation and prayers. He passed away in August 1926 at the age of 64. Before his death, he sent large donations of provision to the central monk body in Punakha and commanded that his royal remains be cremated at Kuchilhagang. Conclusion. By 1885, after the Battle of Changlimitang, which marked the last struggle of feudal lords against his power, Ugawatu had already emerged as the only leader capable of ensuring Bhutan's nationhood. His astute handling of foreign affairs steered Bhutan safely. He avoided trouble with Chinese in Tibet and befriended British in India, thereby preserving and strengthening the independence of Bhutan. He gave Bhutan what Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal had envisaged, basically a strong government and a national identity. Finally, it was his enthronement as the first Druk Gyalpo and the establishment of the hereditary monarchy that marked the beginning of a glorious era in the history of Bhutan under the wise and strong leadership of Drukgyalpo Ugawangchu. Bhutan remained peace and continuity. Thank you.